The salty mist clung to the air like a shroud as Captain Elias Blackthorne stirred awake on the creaking deck of his ship, the Sea Serpent. The first rays of dawn flickered through the porthole, casting a ghostly light over the weathered wood and the scattered remnants of last night's revelry. He rubbed his eyes, the remnants of a hangover swirling in his skull, and then caught sight of something unusual resting on the table, half buried beneath an empty rum jug. A map. Elias leaned closer, the coarse parchment crinkling under his fingertips as he unfurled it. His heart raced. The intricate lines of ink formed an unfamiliar coastline, dotted with jagged cliffs and treacherous reefs. But what sent a chill down his spine was the unmistakable scrawl at the bottom. "Your retirement awaits if you dare." It was in his own handwriting, and there was no denying it. The ink was freshly dried, glistening ominously in the dim light. His breath quickened as he traced the path with a trembling finger. It charted a course through uncharted waters, promising a treasure that was said to be cursed by the souls of pirates long forgotten. 7 days. 7 days until— What? He shuddered at the thought, but the allure of the treasure was too potent to resist. "Ahoy, Captain!" boomed a voice from the shadows. It was First Mate Jace, his loyal companion, stepping into the light with a grin that was contagious. "Ready to set sail, then? The crew's eager." Elias hesitated, glancing back at the map. "Aye, Jace, but I've found something." Peculiar. He held it up, showing it to his mate, who squinted at the map, confusion washing over his face. "What's this?" Jace asked, his brow furrowing. "Looks like a treasure map." "It is," Elias replied, "but it's in my own hand." Jace chuckled, shaking his head. "Well, you've had your fair share of rum. Maybe you just don't remember drawing it." Elias frowned, the unease creeping back. "The ink is fresh. It was drawn last night while I was sleeping." "Then perhaps it's a sign from the sea herself," Jace said, a hint of excitement sparking in his eyes. "Cursed or not, treasure is treasure, Captain. What's life without a little risk?" With a reluctant nod, Elias folded the map and tucked it into his coat. The crew would be eager for adventure, and the promise of gold was a siren's call he couldn't ignore. As the sun rose higher, the Sea Serpent cut through the waves, its sails billowing in the wind. The crew sang shanties, their voices merging with the sound of crashing waves, laughter echoing in the salty air. Yet, despite the jovial atmosphere, an unsettling feeling gnawed at Elias. On the first night, as the stars twinkled like scattered diamonds above, the crew gathered around a flickering lantern. Elias shared the map, and the excitement in their eyes was contagious. They spoke of the treasure, each man envisioning the riches that awaited them. But amidst the laughter, Elias felt a shadow lurking just beyond the edges of their revelry. "Day one ends," he muttered to himself as he glanced at the map. The ink seemed to shimmer in the lantern light, a warning etched in blood-red ink. The second day dawned with a heavy fog enveloping the ship, casting an eerie pallor over the crew. Elias felt a strange pull towards the map, as if it were alive, whispering secrets only he could hear. He dismissed it as a trick of the mind, but unease settled in his gut like a stone. "Captain, we're nearing the first checkpoint," Jace called, drawing him from his thoughts. "Should we drop anchor?" Elias nodded, his heart pounding. They had reached the first mark on the map, a jagged rock formation that jutted out of the water like a set of teeth. The fog swirled around them, thick and cloying, and as they dropped anchor, an unnatural silence descended. "Keep your eyes sharp, lads," Elias shouted, trying to shake off the creeping dread. The crew scattered, searching for signs of the treasure. It was then that Elias spotted at a glimmer beneath the waves a flash of gold. He felt an irresistible urge to dive in, to plunge into the depths and grasp whatever lay beneath. But as he prepared to leap overboard, a voice boomed through the fog. "Captain! Look out!" Elias turned just in time to see one of his men, Thomas, being pulled under by a dark shape. Panic surged through him as he rushed to the edge, but all he saw was a swirl of bubbles and then silence. "Thomas!" he screamed, heart racing. But there was no response. "Get the grappling hooks!" Jace shouted, urgency lacing his voice. The crew sprang into action, desperate to save their shipmate. But the depths remained silent, the waves swallowing every sound. Hours passed, but Thomas never surfaced. The fog lifted, revealing the sun dipping low in the sky, staining the horizon with hues of crimson and gold. Elias felt the weight of failure settle over him like a shroud. "Day 2 ends," he whispered, glancing at the map. The ink now seemed to pulse, as if mocking him. On the third day, the atmosphere grew thick with tension. The crew was on edge, their spirits dampened by the loss of their friend. Jace approached Elias, worry etched across his face. "Captain, the men are restless. We need to find that treasure." "I know," Elias replied, the weight of the map heavy in his pocket. "But I fear it's leading us into something far darker than gold." "Then let's turn back," Jace urged, desperation creeping into his voice. "This isn't worth it." But just then, a storm crashed upon them. The waves roared, and the wind howled like a banshee, tossing the Sea Serpent like a toy. The crew scrambled to secure the sails, fear gripping them as the ship tilted dangerously. Elias fought against the storm, the ship groaning under the pressure. In the chaos, he caught sight of another glimmer in the water, a chest, half buried in the sand. "Jace, we have to get it," he shouted over the roar of the storm. "Are you mad?" Jace yelled back, but Elias was already leaping overboard, the cold water slapping against him like 1,000 icy hands. He swam toward the chest, his muscles screaming as he fought against the waves. As he reached it, he felt something brush against his leg, a shadow, something alive beneath the surface. Panic surged within him, but he grasped the chest, pulling it free from the sand. As he surfaced, a flash of darkness surged past him, and he barely made it back to the ship, collapsing on the deck, chest in hand. The crew cheered, but Elias felt a deep sense of foreboding. The fourth day brought with it a discovery that chilled him to the bone. The chest, once locked tight, now lay open, revealing nothing but dust and bones. The treasure was gone, but a note lay within. "You owe a debt, Captain." Elias felt his heart drop. "What does it mean?" he muttered, glancing at the crew. But no one had the answer, and the atmosphere grew heavier with each passing hour. Day 5 dawned with a sense of dread. Elias could feel it in the air. The map now bore a new mark, leading them toward an uncharted island. "Should we go?" Jace asked, his voice wavering. "We have to," Elias replied, though he felt the weight of his decision like an anchor pulling him under. As they approached the island, a sense of foreboding settled over them. The trees loomed like specters, and the ground seemed to whisper secrets of the damned. "Let's split up," Elias commanded, though he could feel the unease radiating from his crew. As they searched, Elias stumbled upon a clearing where a circle of stones lay, each inscribed with ancient symbols. In the center, a figure stood, a woman, her skin pale as moonlight, eyes gleaming like obsidian. "Welcome," she purred, voice like silk. "You've come for the treasure." Elias' throat tightened. "What do you want?" "The debt must be paid," she replied, her smile sharp as a blade. "You've come too far to turn back now." "What debt?" She stepped closer, and in her eyes he saw the souls of his lost crew swirling in torment. "The treasure you seek is cursed, Captain. It demands a price." "Day 5 ends," he whispered, dread pooling in his stomach. As night fell, the crew gathered around the fire, an uneasy silence settling over them. One by one they began to disappear, drawn into the shadows, their laughter replaced by the haunting echoes of the past. On day 6, Elias awoke to find the ship eerily quiet. Panic surged through him as he searched the decks, calling for his crew, but there was no response. Only the relentless waves lapping against the hull, mocking his solitude. The map in his pocket burned against his skin, and he pulled it out, heart racing. The final mark was circled in blood-red ink. Retirement. Elias understood now. The treasure wasn't gold, it was the souls of his crew, and he was to be the last to pay the price. The final day dawned, and with it a storm unlike any he had ever seen. The sea roared, waves crashing against the ship as Elias clung to the wheel, desperate to navigate through the chaos. "Settle your debt, Captain." The woman's voice echoed through the tempest. As the ship tilted dangerously, Elias felt the weight of his choices crashing down upon him. The map fluttered in the wind, beckoning him toward the darkness. In a final act of defiance, he tore the map apart, the pieces scattering into the wind. "I refuse," he shouted against the storm. The waves surged, and with a deafening roar, the sea swallowed the Sea Serpent whole, dragging Elias into the depths. As he sank beneath the surface, the darkness enveloped him, and he felt the cold grip of the cursed treasure pulling him down. "Your retirement awaits," a voice whispered. And in that moment, he understood the price of greed. The depths claimed him, a final warning to those who dared to seek what was not theirs to find. The Sea Serpent vanished, and all that remained was the whisper of the waves, carrying the tale of Captain Elias Blackthorne, tale of greed, curses, and a debt that would never be paid.